Alrighty, good afternoon everybody. This is Robert at Scott Leroy Marketing. We're going to get started with our Placester 201 class. This is our more advanced Placester class. Before we get started though, I want to make sure you guys can hear me. So if you'll look up at the very top of your screen, you should have these same 5 buttons that I do. If you'll click this one that's just to the left of center that looks like a speech bubble, that'll pop up the chat window. I would love to hear from you whether you can hear me or not. Something like that. There we go, loud and clear, nice. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I do want to let you know this class is going to be recorded. It'll be available at slmtraining.com. Should hopefully be there in a couple of hours, but it may be as late as tomorrow before I can get it uploaded. I got some instructions there that I'm sending in the chat window to get connected on your phone if you need to. And then lastly, before we get started, or second to last before we get started, to make sure that you're using any browser besides Microsoft Internet Explorer or Apple Safari. If you know how to enable cookies in Safari, you're welcome to do that, and that should work for Placester. But for Internet Explorer, that was actually retired 3 years ago. It's a very, very old browser that's not supported anymore, and the Placester interface will not load in Internet Explorer. So you would want to use a more modern browser like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox if you have Internet Explorer on your computer. Now, if you have Windows 10, you don't have Internet Explorer. Instead, you have Microsoft Edge, which is the new browser that replaced Internet Explorer, which works just fine with Placester. It's just if you have Windows 7 or 8 and you have Internet Explorer, it won't work with Placester. You have to use a different browser. And then lastly, this class assumes you've already worked through our Placester 101 class, our basic website class. If you have found yourself in the wrong class, if you were thinking this was supposed to be Placester 101 and it's not, you can definitely watch any of our recorded classes, including the one from last week at slmtraining.com. Again, we record all of our advanced training classes there at slmtraining.com. Okay, let's get started here. Our first step is going to be to get logged into our mykw.kw.com homepage. Oh, sorry, before we get started, that same chat window that I mentioned to you guys earlier for that sound check, if you'll click on this button just to the left of center at the top of your screen to open the chat window, that's where you can send me questions. I will be monitoring that throughout the class, so if there's something you're unclear on or something I accidentally skipped or something like that, definitely let me know there in the chat window and I'll be happy to answer those questions as best I can. Okay, logged into our mykw.kw.com homepage, and just like Placester 101, we're going to hover over Technology, then click on KW Websites, the third one down here. And then on this page, we'll click on a red Go to My Website button. If you don't have that button, refer back to our Placester 101 class to learn how to get that button. Once our Placester interface loads, we're going to go over on the left under Edit Site. And we're going to start off near the bottom here of our site settings page. Remember, in Placester 101, we spent all of our time here in site settings. We're going to start here in 201 and then go over to pages, blog posts, testimonials, and areas. So starting down here at custom domain, this is where we left off at Placester 101. This is where you can see your site address by default, and this is what KW has assigned it as, or you can edit it. You can change that part before this first dot, before the .kw.com. If you're, excuse me, in the US, it will end in .kw.com, but in Canada, it'll end in .kellerwilliamsrealty.ca. This is also, if you have one, where you can connect a custom domain, one that you've purchased previously. You can connect that to your KW website. And we've got, if you don't have a custom domain, we've got some information here about how you can get a custom domain for just 99 cents for the first year from GoDaddy. It does have to be a .com, it can't be a .info or a .net or anything else, but it is 99 cents for the first year and then regular price after that. And it's not very much it's not very expensive to have a domain after that. Typically, it's between $10 and $20 per year, depending on the popularity of the domain that you want. And then if you do already have that custom domain, I'm sending you the link there where you can request for us to connect that custom domain to your KW site powered by Placester. You don't have to try to figure that out yourself. We know exactly how to do that, and we can do that for you. We're going to exit this, and we're going to drop down here to site tracking. This is where our real Placester 201 begins. Site tracking is tracking the activity of users on your site, seeing what they've done, how long they've been there, where they went on your site, how they got to your site, that kind of stuff. This tracking up here, the Google Analytics tracking, is only what information? It's only activity information. You're not going to get any names, emails, or phone numbers through site tracking, through Google Analytics tracking. It only gives you the activity of what people are doing on your site. Google conversion tracking is related to Google Ads. That's something that you have to pay for through Google AdWords and AdSense. And we're not really going to cover that. If you want additional help with this, send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. And then lastly down here for Facebook pixel tracking, and we're going to go back up to Google Analytics, I promise. Here for Facebook pixel tracking, if you are running Facebook ads, you can generate a pixel code, a tracking code here or there in the Facebook's interface, and you can paste it into this box, and this will provide the who information. It will give you who it was that clicked on your link on Facebook, clicked on your ad on Facebook, and came over to your site and was doing things on your site. So that is the only way that you can get who information through site tracking. Google Analytics does not. If you'll excuse me for just a second. Okay, so to set up Google Analytics, you would visit analytics.google.com and you would sign up using your existing Google account, whether that's your KW email or any other Gmail account. You don't have to create a new account, you just sign up for Google Analytics using your existing account. And through the process, it'll generate a tracking ID, and it looks like this, UA-number. So you would copy that code and paste it here into this box, and then you would be able to start tracking the activity of visitors on your site. If that sounds a little bit complicated for you, the good news, we can actually set that up for you. I'm sending you the link there where you can request for us to set that up for you. For the Facebook pixel tracking, we can't set up the pixel side. You would need to do that and get the pixel code from Facebook. But if you send that code over to us and then include your MyKW username and password, we can apply that pixel code ID in this box here. We know which part of it to pick out and put in this box. It doesn't need the full HTML snippet. It only needs 15 digits out of that full snippet. So we know exactly what digits to pull out and put in this box, and we can do that for you. Just send it to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Once you've got any changes made here, remember from our Placester 101 class, you have to click Save to apply any changes to your site. If you don't click Save and you just click out here to exit it, none of those changes are applied and you would have to redo them. Dropping down here to site verification, this is where you verify that you are the owner of this site. This is your site. You can make specified changes to it required by these three services here. Google and Bing Webmaster Tools are services from both of these search engines that help you to increase the search engine ranking of your website. It provides tips and tools, and here's how you can improve your site. A lot of it is going to be stuff that you can't actually change. It's going to be something to do with coding and programming and the way your site is served. What you can change is the content on your site, and it's also going to point out things that you can improve about what's actually on the page on your site. So that's both Google and Bing Webmaster Tools. Google is, of course, the king of search, so that's really the only one that we're familiar with, the one that we're going to have tools for. And if you'd like us to set up Google Webmaster Tools for you, we can set that up. I just sent you the link to where we can do that. For Pinterest, this one's a little bit unique. Say you have a Pinterest business profile and you want to list this website as your website on that profile. In order to do that, Pinterest provides a code that needs to be put into your site in order to verify that I am the owner of this site and I've made this particular change that Pinterest has requested. If you'll send the code that Pinterest generates over to us and include your MyKW username and password, we can get that code plugged in here. It's another part where it doesn't need the full HTML snippet, it just needs part of it. We can plug that in for you, and then you can use that site on your Pinterest business profile. Again, once you've made any changes, make sure to click Save to apply them. Lastly, under this SSL certificate, we typically don't need to do anything here. SSL stands for Secure Socket Layer, and that is security for your website. That means that information submitted on forms like names, emails, phone numbers is safe from hackers who may try to intercept the data, especially over Wi-Fi connections. So say somebody was viewing your site on their phone at a coffee shop and they submitted a lead capture form. Potentially, hackers could be monitoring that Wi-Fi network and try to grab that contact information out of the air as it travels over Wi-Fi. Your site having this SSL disables that. Hackers will not be able to grab that information if you have this turned on. It is on by default. If you want to leave it on, I promise. We have encountered maybe 2 or 3 cases in the last several years, not even in the last month or two, last couple of years, maybe 1 per year, where sometimes with a custom domain, you do have to turn off the SSL in order for it to work properly with your custom domain. But that is very, very, excuse me, very, very rare. You don't need to turn this off for really any reason. You want to make sure to leave this on. It also helps, like it says, it helps your search engine optimization if search engines know that your site is secure and it protects that information. Okay, so that finishes it for the site settings. Now we're going to jump over to pages, blog posts, testimonials, and areas. Now a question that I get a lot is what is the difference between a page and a blog post? A page is a little bit more permanent fixture on your site. It's always going to be found in the same spot. You want to have it like in your menu or at the same address, and you want people to be able to find it easily. And it's going to have information that's fairly static, information that isn't going to change very much. Maybe buyer resources or seller resources or a mortgage calculator or something like that. It's going to be information that basically stays the same, but you can change it if you want to. A blog post, by contrast, is more mercurial. It's more changeable. A blog post is expected to be pushed down and out of sight. It's still findable, but it'll be out of sight by newer blog posts. It's just like a newspaper edition. Today's newspaper gets replaced by tomorrow's newspaper. You could look back at today's newspaper if you wanted to. You could go find it, but tomorrow's newspaper is going to have the newer, more relevant information or the new stories. A blog post is very similar to a newspaper edition or article, so that's going to be more changeable, and it pushes down older ones in favor of newer ones. So we're going to click over to pages. And by default, depending on when your site was created, you may have 5 to 8 pages that are created by default with your site. You should for sure have these 5: the About, Blog, Contact, Listing, Search, and then your favorite listings. If you have some additional ones like buyer resources or first-time home buyer resources or selling your home or something like that, those are created by default with the site, but there's not actually any useful content on them. So it's up to you to go edit those or remove those, because the content that's on there is very generic and it's just showing you this is what a page looks like on your site. That information is not actually going to be useful to your clients, so you want to make sure to either update it or remove it. To update it, you would just click on the name of that page or click on edit over here on the right, and you can update that page. Or to remove the page, you would click on remove over here on the right. The other 5 pages here, you do want to make sure to leave on there. Unless you for sure aren't going to be blogging on your site, you could potentially remove that one. But otherwise, you want to leave the rest there. The About page, pretty self-explanatory. It's about you or about your team. Blog is where it's going to list all the blog posts that you write here. It's going to list them all on this page. Contact, self-explanatory, has a contact form for you. Listing search, self-explanatory, search for listings through your MLS. And then your favorite listings is a little bit less obvious. This is your, as in the client's favorite listings, the site visitor's favorite listings, rather than your, as in the agent's favorite listings. There is a page type where you can choose a page full of listings to show what you like or what you want to showcase, and we'll get more about that a little bit later. But this one that's created by default is the client or the site visitor's favorite listings. This is where if someone has created an account on your site and they've saved some properties, this page is going to list all of those saved properties. So to create a new page, and actually to create a new page, blog post, testimonial, or area, any of the other things we're going to cover today, there's a plus sign at the top of the page. Plus means create a new one of whatever it is you're viewing right now, whether it's a page or one of these others. So we're going to click this plus sign here to create a new page, just to show you what that looks like. At the top here, we've got the slug. Slug is just a fancy name for address. This is the place that the page is going to be able to be found on your site. You could share this on your marketing materials, in a Facebook ad, whatever. The slug, I'm going to skip template for now. The slug is connected to the page title. Whatever you put in the page title is going to go into the slug. The title and the slug cannot be different. I know in other website systems you can have a different title versus the slug, but in Placester you cannot. Page title equals slug. So here I'm going to do test page, and you'll notice it sticks that at the end of the slug right here, and it will only ever match exactly what's in the page title here. Now coming back up to template, there are several different templates, different page types that you can create in your site here. And we'll just go down the list here. By default, what's selected is the testimonials index. That's at the bottom of the list here. It just selects the last one. We'll cover that in just a little bit. At the top of the list is the About page. About is already created on your site. You don't need to create another one. That's just got the information about you or about your team. Under that, we've got Agents Index, but if you'll notice, as I hover my mouse over it, it actually just kind of clicks past it above or below. That's not a glitch. That's not your video or your feed being slow. I actually cannot highlight or click on where it says Agents Index. If I try to click on it, nothing happens. That's because that's part of an upgrade package from Placester, and you would need to contact Placester about getting that type of page there, the Agents Index. Now, one thing I do want to point out about index, that word index, index equals list, equals index equals list. List and index are the same thing. A list is an index is a list. Anytime you see index, think list, okay? There are several different index type pages here, and just think it's a list of whatever it says before the word index. So this is a list of areas, so a list of whatever you create over here under the areas section. Down here we've got a different kind of index, a blog post index, so it's a list of blog posts. Okay, if anybody's unclear on what an index is, it's a list, promise. Okay, so for areas index, this is going to be a page that lists whatever you create here under areas. So we are going to create this page in just a little bit, but for now let's just continue down the list. Blog post index is a list of blog posts. This page is already created on your site. That was that blog page in the list of our existing pages. You don't need to create another one. Client profile is that your favorite listings page. This is that page that lists the properties that they've saved or favorited on your site. Again, already created, don't need to create another one. Contact page is a page that has a contact form to contact you. Again, already created, don't need to create another one. A bunch of people are going to get excited here about this custom landing page. Unfortunately, that's not actually available. That's another one that's part of an upgrade package, so you need to actually contact Placester to learn more about that custom landing page. Default page template is the one that you're going to use most often. This is where you can create your own custom content. You can put your own videos and images and text and links and everything on that page. This is the one you're going to use most often, and we can talk more about that later, or you can send us an email and we'll get you some more information about that. Under that, we've got a featured listings page. This is what I mentioned earlier about versus the client profile, where it's the client, the site visitor's favorite listings. This would be a page full of listings that meet the featured listings criteria from the site settings section that we covered back in Placester 101. So say you have more listings, say you've set up your featured listings to show just your listings, but say you have more than 4 listings, you have more than it shows on the home page. You could create this featured listings page and it would show all of your listings or more of them, and then they go to the second page and the third page of whatever listings meet the criteria there under featured listings. So it doesn't have to be just your listings, it can be whatever criteria you've got in featured listings. And if you want to learn more about that, check that out at slmtraining.com for our Placester 101 class. Listing search page, already created on your site, don't need to create another one. RSS feed index is specific to the KW specific, what are they called, templates, the Madison and the Madison Metro. You'll only get this option if you're using one of those templates. If you're using something else like Plymouth or Fremont or Phoenix, you won't have this option in your templates list. The RSS feed index is going to bring posts over from some other service via a really simple syndication link. That's what RSS stands for. I was a little bit laughing at it when I looked it up last week. RSS stands for really simple syndication, and syndication means copying it out to other sources, or excuse me, other endpoints. So say you've got a blog that you already have established, you already have followers, you're already comfortable writing on it through like blogger.com or WordPress or ActiveRain or something like that, and you want to show those blog posts automatically here on this site. You would use the RSS feed index to do that. You would go over to whatever service you've got, copy that RSS link, and you'd have to contact that service to get the RSS link. We don't have instructions for that. You would get that RSS link and then paste it into this page type on the Madison or the Madison Metro themes here in Placester, and it would automatically bring in those posts versus the built-in blog section that's here in Placester. You would need to remove the existing blog page and any existing blog posts to show this instead, the RSS feed index. Under that, we've got real satisfied ratings and reviews. This is another one that's exclusive to the Madison and the Madison Metro themes. Real satisfied is essentially Yelp for real estate agents. That's it's reviews and ratings, just like it says. And if you have a paid Real Satisfied account, you can automatically bring in those testimonials here into your Placester account. You have to be paying for Real Satisfied in order to do that. You don't have to pay Placester for that. That's not an upgrade from Placester. It's an upgrade from Real Satisfied. So you would just create your paid account there and then log into that account through creating this page type. And again, it's exclusive to the Madison and the Madison Metro themes. Under that, we've got testimonials index. This is another list, index equals list, and this is a list of whatever you create here under testimonials. There should be a few by default that we're going to get to in just a minute, but whatever testimonials you create here, this page will list them. So let's create a default page here. We'll select that default page template just to show you the different parts of creating a page. We've already got the slug and the title and the template, and then under that, depending on the type of page you've chosen, you may have a page content section. Certain page types don't, but a lot do. So here in the page content is where you're going to add your text, add your images, add your videos. You can just start typing if you want to. You can add a link using this button right here. It's 3 links of chain, pretty universal. You can add an image here. You can also add a video here. Now that video has to already have been uploaded to a different site like Vimeo or YouTube. You're not uploading the video here to your site. You're embedding a video that's already been uploaded somewhere else. You can also do columns and indentations and all that fun stuff, and you can change the format, bigger, smaller headings, that type of stuff. And if you're really knowledgeable, you can actually edit the HTML of the page as well. I'm not going to cover too much more about that. That's just where you put in the content of the page. For most page types, you are going to have this checkbox here that says display full width. This is exclusive to the Madison and Madison Metro themes also. If you're using any other themes, it's not going to actually do anything if you check this box. On the Madison and the Madison Metro, what it'll do here is on this page that you created, typically what's supposed to be over on the right side is a contact form and a listing search form. If you check this box, it'll remove that contact form and that listing search form, and instead it'll be just whatever content you've put into this page. This is great for quote-unquote landing pages that we set up for using Google Forms. Those are free through your Market Center subscription, and I'm sending you the link here to where we can help you with that. We can set up a quote-unquote landing page for collecting seller leads, and there's actually a couple of other things that we can do for you as far as quote-unquote landing pages on your site. And I'm sending you the link to our support page where you can find all of our complimentary services that your Market Center is paying for. So definitely check that out. ScalpelRoyMarketing.com/support. Really simple. Underneath that full width checkbox, we have this other checkbox that is selected by default. Pretty self-explanatory. What will happen is if you leave this checkbox checked, when you click Save down at the bottom, this page will be automatically added to the Site menu at the top of your page. If you don't check this box and you go down and save the page, it's not going to be added to the menu automatically. You would need to go over to the menu section and add it in there if you wanted it in the menu. You don't necessarily have to have a page in the menu. There's a couple of pages that we create that aren't in the menu, and you may not necessarily want that. So you can uncheck that box if you want to. Underneath that, each page has an SEO section. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and I'm not going to get too crazy into this. It's something I covered briefly in Placester 101, but we do have a specific guide for SEO, for Search Engine Optimization, that I'm sending you guys now. It's got a class in there that specifically talks about how to help your site do better in search engines. The gist of it is you want to communicate what this page and what your site is about here in these boxes so that it shows up on search engine results and people are going to be able to read and tell, okay, this is what I'm going to be able to find when I click on this page. So lastly, down here at the bottom, we have our Save as Draft button. Everything we create from this point on, whether it's a blog post or a testimonial or an area, is going to have this button. That means that it'll be saved in your site, but no one will be able to see it on your site. You would actually need to come back and publish it instead in order for it to be live on your site. This is a great way to save something that you want to put onto your site later, but you have the content and everything for it now. Such as, say, you're running a fundraiser or for a Christmas dinner or something like that. It is Christmas time. And you want to start advertising that next week, but you already have the flyer put together now, and you put that into a page on your site. If you want more information about how to do that, send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. We can get you that information. But say you've already got that flyer in the page on your site, and you just want to save it for later and then publish it a little bit closer to that date. You can do that using Save as Draft here. Otherwise, if you click Save, this page will be sent live to your site now. One last thing about this Add This Page to My Menu button. If you uncheck this box and then save the page, this box will not be available in the future. You can only check this box the very first time you're creating the page. After you click that Save button, this box disappears and you need to go add it to the menu manually in that menu section. So, we're going to create a couple of different pages here, so follow along with me. Back up here at the top in our template, we are going to create an areas index page. We're going to create a list page for the areas that we're going to create over here later. So we're going to call this, instead of test page, we're going to call it something similar to like communities or where I work or areas served or something like that. I'm just going to call it communities. And you can call it anything that you want to. This is your site, your page. Under that, for page content, you can have some content here. It does have this section. You don't have to, it's optional, but if you want to add a description, something like learn about the Orlando metro area from your local real estate resource. Oops. Gosh. There's no marketing there. Scott Leroy. So you can have that there. I'm going to leave that there just to show you that as an example. Coming down to the bottom, I do want to check this page to my menu. Check this box to add the page to my menu, but you'll notice the checkbox for display full width is missing. Certain page types don't have that checkbox, and this is one of them, the areas index. So lastly, I'm going to come down here to meta title, and like I covered in Placester 101, the most specific information needs to be to the left because you have limited space here before it starts truncating it. So I'm going to call this communities, and then I'll get into more of the less specific stuff like the name, and then maybe phone number if you want to have that in there, and then less specific, and then lastly, maybe an office name. And you'll notice the box ends about here, and that is a good safe bet for roughly where it's going to start truncating on the search engine results. And again, if you want more information about that, refer back to Placester 101. For that meta description, again, it's a short, person-readable, helpful description of what people are going to find on this page. So, in fact, I'm just going to copy this page content down here because it is a short description of what's on this page. And then I'll save this, and that'll get applied to Scott's site. Now, because I left this checkbox checked, the add this page to my menu, it lets me know this page was added to your menu, and I can go to the menu section and click and drag things around and change the order if I want to. I'm just going to close this so I can go create a new page. So we're back here on our pages page, and we'll click plus sign to create an additional page. And the other page we're going to create is this testimonials index, the one that's selected by default from the bottom of that list. Remember, index is list of testimonials that we create under this section. So we're going to leave that selected for that template. For the page title, again, you can call it anything you want to. You can call it happy customers, happy clients. You can call it reviews or testimonials or things like that. I'm going to call it from the horse's mouth because I like to have fun and nobody's actually going to see this site because I clear it out after this class. So something like that. And you'll see that it adds that to the slide. And then we've got the checkbox here for add this page to my menu. There is no page content section like I mentioned earlier. Certain types of pages don't have the page content, so you just do the title and that's it. Then we've got our meta title. I'm going to put in the title of this page. That's typically the best thing to start with in the meta title is the title of this page. And since it's not super clear what that means, I am going to put in testimonials, and then I'm going to go into the rest. There we go. And for our description, again, a description of what this page is. Here, straight from oops. Something like that. That was a lot of typing. Okay, and then I'll save that to apply that to the site, and it pops up and lets me know this was added to my menu. I don't want to go edit the menu now. So if I click on View Live Site up here in the top right, I should have a couple of new menu items on the page here. We've got that new Communities button right there, and we've got the new From the Horse's Mouth here. Right now there is nothing on these pages except for that little bit of text that I put onto the Communities page. From the Horse's Mouth here is going to be totally empty. There are no testimonials yet. Okay, jumping over here to blog posts, we are going to create a blog post. Oh, by the way, there are several blog posts that are created with your site. Everybody gets the same blog posts, and Placester is not going to be providing any new blog posts. Neither is KW, neither are we. Any new blog content on your site is your responsibility. You would need to click that plus sign and create some new blog posts on your site, and you have to type out and get your own images and everything. It's your responsibility. This is your site, your blog, your content. We do offer some content creation services. If you want to check out scottleroymarketing.com/pricing, see about that paid service there. I'm not going to talk any more about that. Let me make sure I'm not skipping anything here. Okay, so we're going to click our plus sign here to create a new blog post. Again, we've got a slug and a title. Don't know why it switched their places, but the title is the slug basically. So we're going to call this a test blog post, and it puts that in the slug there. Down here in content is just like the page content section. You can add your text, your images, your videos, anything that you want. And in fact, I'm going to go get some filler text here. Lorem ipsum is some Latin from a really, really old book that is used as filler text to show what a page would look like if it did have text on it. It doesn't actually mean anything. It's just showing you here are some words so that you can see some words on the page just so it's not empty. Okay, and then under that we have a new section here. We have this options section. The excerpt here is going to show on that blog index page, blog post index page that's already created on the site. It's that blog page on the pages list there. And this is going to show on that page before someone clicks on this particular blog post to read more about it. So this is an excerpt of this blog post. So the excerpt is supposed to be a short summary of what this blog post is about without rewriting the blog post. They don't want to see the whole thing on that page. You just tell them this is what this is about. Click through here to read more. Under that, we've got a featured image section. This is going to show on that blog index page just above where this excerpt shows, and it's also going to show at the top of the blog post itself. So you can get an image of whatever this blog post is about. You can go take that picture yourself, or you can find, what have we got here? There we go. You can find some free images online to use here, and I'm sending you guys a message with a link to our class for how to find that. You don't want to just use any image that you find on Google. It's more than likely copyrighted, and the owner of that copyright could come back later and say, hey, you've been using my image on your site for 6 months or a year or 3 years, and I just noticed you owe me back fees for using that image on your site to the tune of a couple of $100 or a couple of $1,000. Whether or not you take down the image at that point. You have been using the image and you still owe them those fees. So you want to find free images to use, and I just sent you the link for the class for how to find that. So I've got, there we go, blog featured image here. Stick that in there. This is a free image that I found online. Got our SEO section here. This is test blog post. That's what the title of this page is. It is a blog. We're getting a little bit less specific here. And then we get over to the rest of the stuff. And after the name of the page and maybe what type of page it is, your meta title is typically the same thing as you move forward. So Scott Leroy, oops. Gosh, phone number. Search homes for sale in, oops, Orlando, Florida. Keller Williams Realty. Now, for the meta description, this is actually really easy moving forward. So for blog posts and testimonials and areas, all of those have what's it called, an excerpt section. And typically, I just recommend copying the excerpt down here to the meta description, because if somebody sees one, they're not likely to see the other. And even if they do, it's just good consistency. So we're going to publish that over to the site. So if I come over here to Scott's site and click on blog, eventually, yay, finally. Okay, here is our blog index page. Here's that new blog post I created. There's my featured image. There's that title. There's the excerpt. I can click on the title or the image or read more to go see the full blog post. There's our featured image across the top. Here's that fake filler text. And then there are share buttons on that blog post, just like on listing pages. And there's that listing search and the contact form over on the right. Where was I? Okay, so that's it for blog posts. If you guys do have questions about that, feel free to send them over or send them to support@scottleroymarketing.com. We're going to jump over to testimonials. So to create a new testimonial, just like on a page or a blog post, we click the plus sign to create a new one. There's not a page type on the Placester site where people can submit their own testimonials. Any testimonials on the site have to be manually added by you. You can copy them over from Zillow, from Google, from anywhere. They're your testimonials. You can just paste them into the site here, and it's really easy to do. You just paste it in, basically, and you get the name of the person and give the page a title. Now, we can add up to 5 testimonials for you. We do have that as a complimentary service through your Market Center subscription. You would just fill out the form that I sent you there, sent you the link. Just fill out that form once for each testimonial you want to have added to your site, up to 5. After that, it's your responsibility here, and I'm showing you how to do that. So again, we've got a slug and a title, and they've switched places again. So the title is going to be the slug. So I'm going to call this, cool testimonial. And it adds that to the slug here. Down here, I'm going to paste in that actual testimonial. I'm just going to put in that lorem ipsum text here, just to, come on. Are you kidding me? I just copied that. Lorem ipsum. Why can't I paste anything? There we go. Lorem ipsum is in there. That's fake filler text. There we go. So for a referrer, this is the name of the person who sent you this testimonial, whether it was on Facebook, Twitter, Google, Zillow, email. It's the name of this person. If they want to remain anonymous, you can just put anonymous. You can do Buddy Buyer, Sally Seller, and this could be potentially, it could be your co-broker on the other side of the deal. If they sent you an email about how great it was to work with you. This could be your broker if they gave you a good review, like a performance review or something like that. This could be a vendor of yours that you are always on time paying them. You send them a lot of work. You're great to work with, that kind of stuff. I'm just going to put in Betty Buyer just to pretend that this is a buyer. For affiliation, it's what type of person sent you this review, whether it's, again, that broker, co-broker, buyer, seller, vendor, whatever. We're going to call this a buyer. Under that, we have a checkbox here for featuring on the home page. It does say that that's only available for certain themes. I know it is available on the Madison and the Madison Metro themes. It may be available on others. You'd have to check on that. We are going to check that box there just to show that on the home page, just to show you what it looks like. Under that, we've got our options section again, and we've got our excerpt and our featured image. So this is a great buyer testimonial for Scott. Something like that. And then for our featured image, this is a great place to have a picture of the listing that you helped sell or you helped buy, or it could be a good place to have a picture of the person or people that you helped buy their home. If you have their picture and you have their permission to use their picture. If you don't have their picture and you don't have their permission, definitely go snap a picture of whatever the listing was and post that as the featured image, because it definitely helps to have more images on your site. Under that, we've got our SEO section again. So this is a cool testimonial, testimonial, and then the rest of it, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to type it all out. Again, for the description and moving forward, we're just going to copy the excerpt down here to the meta description and save that. So now if I go back to the home page on Scott's site, If we scroll down a little ways, under the featured properties section, it has a new section here called testimonials. And this is because I checked that box, and it looks a little funny on my site here. I'm not sure what's going on there, but that's because I checked that box for feature this on the home page. And I can click on read more here to go see the full testimonial. It will also be on the from the horse's mouth part. Page, not part. There it is right there. I can go view the whole thing. All right, jumping over here to areas, hopefully we don't have to spend too much time here. Well, actually, we've got a good bit of time to spend here, so maybe we will. We're going to click the plus sign here to create a new area. Now, before we get too in-depth here, so before we get too in-depth here, I do want to talk about area pages. There's the option here to write about your city, your county, your neighborhood, your state, or your zip code. We recommend sticking to neighborhood. Only write about neighborhoods because that makes you the hyper-local expert. You have insights that other people don't have about particular neighborhoods, whether it's your neighborhood or a new subdivision by a builder or a historic neighborhood in your area. You can type up what you know and what you think and what you feel about a particular neighborhood. Everybody else and their mother has written about your city. They've all written about your zip code or your state or your county. You want to be that local expert that writes about this particular subdivision, and maybe you're the only person on the internet that has anything about that subdivision that's not just here's a list of listings in that area or in that subdivision. These pages do have listings that are in that area down at the bottom, but yet also you also want to make sure that you have the content for that area. To give an anecdote, I was in a class a couple of years ago where the instructor was saying that he had a client at one point. He was an agent and the client was an agent, where the client had written about this particular subdivision. It was fairly new. It was not brand new. Most of the homes were finished, but they were still building on it. And he wrote about what was in the subdivision and what was around it. And he, at that point, and it had been a couple of years at that time, he had had 2 or 3 deals in that subdivision because, like I said, he was the only person on the internet who had actual information about that area rather than here's listings from that subdivision. So you want to make sure that you are the hyper-local expert about your area and your neighborhoods. So we actually, to that effect, have a fill-in-the-blank template that I'm sending you guys here, where you just copy it, paste it into the area page template here, and then just fill in the information that's in brackets that's in the green highlight. It prompts you for square footage and beds and baths and accommodations and what's nearby and things like that. So I sent you guys that template there, and if you want that and you're on the recording, definitely send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. We can send that to you as well. It's also on our templates page. Okay, so let's give it a title. We'll call this a test area. And for our search criteria, I am going to select neighborhood and then click add over on the right. And then I'm going to search for a neighborhood that's in this MLS. So I'm going to search Jonesboro, the Ridges. So we'll pretend that that's an area that we're going to write about. Under that, you could add additional search criteria, but there's no point. We're already as far down as it goes as a neighborhood. So we're going to leave that alone. For default sort here, this is the sorting for the listings that are going to show at the bottom of the page that are going to pull from the MLS for the area that we selected here. By default, it's going to show highest price first, but you can change this to any of these other options. You can do lowest price first. Say this is a an area that's ripe for development, ripe for flipping, ripe for investment opportunities. Or total images most, which would probably be similar to price because it's typically going to be luxury listings. You can do the freshest listings from this area or the most stale listings from this area. You can also do like year built newest if this is a brand new subdivision, or year built oldest if this is a historic subdivision. I'm going to pretend it is historic and just do year built oldest. And then for default results per page, that's how many listings is it going to show underneath the content of this page before they have to click on the next button. Probably good to just go ahead and make it as many as possible so that they stay on the page. And it lets me know that there are 23 listings in this area here. So that's all it's going to show on the page. Under that, we get down to the actual content of the area page. This checkbox here for featured means, is it featured on the area's index page? That doesn't mean feature it on the home page. Only testimonials have that ability. But if what would happen here if you check this box is on your area's index page that we created earlier, by default it's sorted alphabetically. If you check this box, this one would go above the alphabetical order. If you check this box for multiple areas, those would be sorted alphabetically, and then it would start over alphabetically for the ones that are not featured. Under that, we've got slideshow here. This is very similar to the slideshow for the home page that we covered in Placester 101, with the exception that you can upload as many images as you want to. So we're going to go upload a bunch of images here, and you have to do them one at a time, right? Yeah. So we have to do them one at a time, so I'm going to upload all of those. And it's going to take me a minute. And just like the homepage slideshow, you do want them to be much, much wider than they are tall, 1600 pixels wide by 600 tall. That's a minimum number. If it's wider than that, no big deal. But if it's taller than that, again, remember that it's going to cut off the top and bottom. And last one. Okay, so down here for page content, we've got a headline, which is separate from the, all the way up at the top, the title. So the headline is your attention grabber, your hook, what makes people want to continue reading this page after they see the slideshow. So we'll call this, section 1. But we do have, what's it called, a fill-in-the-blank template for exactly what to put in this box in that template that I sent you guys just a minute ago. Here in the body copy, I am going to put in that lorem ipsum text down here. And in fact, I'm only going to put in a couple of paragraphs of it because I don't want this to end up too long. Where's the end of that? There we go. I'm just going to do a couple of paragraphs. Underneath that, we have a upload file box here. That's going to upload an image that's going to separate section 1 from section 2, and it'll be the full width of the article. So it's going to go all the way across under the text and above the next section of text. So we're going to upload a new image here. By the way, I forgot to mention for that slideshow there and for any of these images here for the separators, what you would want to do is make sure to get images that are near or about the area that you're writing about. So if this is a subdivision that has a sign, definitely get a picture of that sign and stick it in the slideshow, or put it in this separator right here. If it's near a military installment, get a picture of that installment. Maybe go buy the rights to an aerial view, or you're at your own risk, get a picture of it in a drone. They might not like that. If it's near a shopping center, go take a picture of that. Just lots of opportunities for pictures there. Under that, we've got our section 2. And then we've got some more body copy we can put in here. And then between section 2 and section 3, there are 2 separator images. These are going to be shown side by side the full width of the article. These are going to be vertical orientation, or portrait orientation as it's called, and you want them to be taller than they are wide. Now it says 300 pixels wide. That's another minimum number. If it's wider than that, no big deal. And they can be as tall as they want because these are vertical orientation. So I'm going to upload 2 images here. This nice beach picture, and then our nice cup of coffee with a rock candy stirrer here. And then lastly, we've got our section 3 and our body copy here. And there is no more separator image after section 3, so you don't upload any more images at that point. Down here, we've got our options section, which is our excerpt and our featured image again, just like everything else we've created except for a page. So this is a test area to write about. Totally misspelled right. Something like that. And then choose file. For your featured image, more often than not, what's going to happen is you're going to use the first image from your slideshow, but you can use a different image from the slideshow if you want, or you can use a completely separate image that you didn't include in the slideshow. It can be whatever you want. Just make sure you have the rights to use it so people don't come after you for fees later. And then lastly, we've got our meta title and our meta description. So I'm going to copy the title of this page. It is a communities page. And then the rest of it, all that fun stuff. And then again, for the description, we're going to copy the excerpt to the description and save that. So now if I come over here to the communities page here on Scott's site, Now I've got this community page listed here. Here's my, what's that called? Content from the communities page, index page itself. And then here is the index, the list of the areas pages that we created. So here's our featured image. Here's that title. Here's that excerpt. And I can click on the image or on read more to go view the full area page. And here we've got our slideshow across the top. Eventually, there we go. There's one picture in the slideshow and it'll slide through and all that fun stuff. Just like the home page, except there's not a limit to the number of pictures you have here. You can do more than 5 if you want. We've got our section 1, that body copy. Here's that separator image. Again, it's all the way across, very neat and eye-catching between section 1 and 2. We've got section 2. We've got our separator images here. Again, very nice, very eye-catching, keeps you on the page. And then our section 3, and then down here is the list of listings in that area. And it is sorted by year built oldest, which appears to be land listings. Wow, there's a lot of land out here. The first actual house is right here. And it looks like it doesn't even have, oh no, that's a lot behind a house. Lots and lots of land. Anyway, my state doesn't show the communities page. Can you show again how to get that on the list to show up? Could you clarify that there? Your site doesn't show the communities page. Well, so it's not communities, it's called areas index. So if we go back to our Placester interface and we go to pages and we click the plus sign, it's the areas index page. It's not communities, it's not what the name of the page was, it's the type of page. It's called an areas index. And then you go create areas over here. You can name it communities here in the page title, but the page type is the areas index page. Does that answer your question? I'm not getting a response, so I guess I'll go ahead and move on. Actually, you know what? There is nowhere to move on to. That was basically the end of the class, so if anybody has any, I have it set that way, but it's not on the website. So you're meaning that it's not in the menu on your site. You would have needed to, when you created the page, you would have needed to check the box, add this page to my menu. Since you didn't check that box, what we're going to need to do is you would refer back to Placester 101 and go back to Site Settings, come over to the menu, come down to the bottom and select that page, communities here, or whatever page you created here in this drop down, and then click Add, and then click Save here. And that would add it to the menu on your site. There we go. There we go. So yeah, definitely leave that box checked if you ever want to show this page, or if you do want to show this page in the menu. It's there by default. Don't uncheck it in most cases. All right, so that's about it for the end of the class. If you have other things to do, welcome to go about your day. Can we easily copy the link when you do the community and save it to a Facebook listing and then they communicate? No problem. That doesn't make very much sense to me. I think what you mean is if you're on this area page, does it have a Facebook share button? And I don't believe that it does. But you can copy and paste this address over to Facebook, and when they click on it, it would take them to this page. I think that's what you meant. If that's not, go ahead and clarify for me. That's a good question. Both of those are good questions.